It's remarkable that 4,000 years later, we are still quoting Job's words. But as for me, I know my Redeemer lives. And the crazy thing is, just before he says that, he asks, oh, that my words would be recorded. Oh, that they would be inscribed on a monument. I mean, how beautiful is that? Job's words were totally memorialized, and we are still singing them in hymns and worship songs today. Job gives this beautiful exposition about his Redeemer in chapter 19. And then immediately following that, Zophar feels compelled by a spirit of understanding to respond. Now, if we look at Zophar's response, it really calls back to Satan's accusation of Job in chapter 1, where he says, look how rich Job is. So all throughout chapter 20, Zophar is pointing fingers at the rich. But the thing is, he's not just making a statement about wealthy people in general. He is pointing directly at Job and Job's wealth. But what he says is, in the midst of plenty, they will run into trouble and they will be overcome by misery. May God give them a belly full of trouble. May he rain down his anger upon them. And he goes on to call down condemnation and punishment to the wealthy and the wicked. Essentially, Zophar is asking God to double down on his anger and punishment of Job. So we have this spirit, the spirit of fear and punishment that is setting itself up against Job. Now we will see this ploy of the enemy continue on, and we definitely see it show up in the attitude of the Pharisees in the New Testament. We see God's good law turned into something that is punishing and loveless. It's what the Pharisees use as their justification to plotting to kill Jesus. So here Job's friends are with this very Pharisaical attitude that is punishing and judging. And listen, yes, there are times in our friendships where we are going to need to lovingly come alongside someone who has gotten themselves into deep sin, but the word tells us that it is his kindness that leads us to repentance. So many times when I read these passages about Job's friends, it really reminds me of the Pharisees, specifically the story in Matthew 9, where Jesus is sitting and in relationship and dining with unrepentant sinners, people that these Pharisees view as scum. They are appalled that Jesus would take the time to sit and eat with these people. And so we see Job's friends, instead of sitting with him in his pain, instead of comforting him and using the wisdom that is from above to encourage him, they are accusing God of punishing Job. God is not the one punishing Job. The enemy is actually the one that is doing all of these things to him. But thankfully, it's not working. It's not effective because Job knows that his friend's words are empty and he knows that his Redeemer lives.